Michael Schumacher, a famous racer who won the world championship 7 times, is well respected in the racing world. He clinched 2 titles with Benetton and 5 with Ferrari. People think he could have shared more of his expertise, but a sad accident in the French Alps changed everything for him and his family. Now, for the latest news on his health, let's dive into the video for the latest health update. The crash was really bad, but amazingly, Schumacher is still alive. The news from his family, including his brother Ralph, is not good. There's a chance we might never see Schumacher the way he was before. It's been 10 years since the awful accident in the French Alps on December 29th. He was skiing with his 14-year-old son Mick when he fell and hit his head on a rock. Even though he had a helmet on, the impact was so strong that he had to be in a coma for 250 days. Here's the strange thing. Right after the accident, Schumacher could walk, although he was a bit shaky. But then, his condition got worse, and he had to go to the nearest hospital in Groby. They did surgery right away in Groby and then another one at night. Germany's B reported that the 7-time world champion was getting worse. His condition became really serious, and surgeons had to do something drastic. They drilled holes in his skull to ease the pressure on his brain. It's a tough situation, and it's unclear what the future holds for Schumacher. In a tough situation, the family had to make a hard decision that not many would agree to willingly. They had to put Michael in a special kind of deep sleep, which lasted for a really long time, a whole 250 days. This was a tough time for the family because no one knew if Michael would make it through. Everyone was worried about the damage to Michael's brain after being in this deep sleep for so long. People all around the world were waiting anxiously to hear if he would be okay. The fact that nobody was sure if he would survive shows just how serious the situation was. When Michael finally woke up, things were very different for him. He couldn't talk or move, and the only thing he could still do was feel things. But even that felt like a kind of curse because he couldn't show or tell anyone how he felt. It was a big change in his life, and everyone was trying to understand what it meant for him and his family. Continued recovery and privacy. After being in a hospital in Groby, Michael Schumacher moved to his home in Switzerland in September 2014. Since then, he has been getting better. The family really wants to keep things private, so they don't allow photographers or people who want to do interviews to come to their house. Only a small group of people who got permission from the family beforehand can visit Michael and talk about how he is doing. Ralf Schumacher, Michael's brother and a former driver for Toyota and Williams, is one of the very few people allowed to visit. Recently, he told us some things about Michael's health. Ralph and Michael had careers in racing together, and Ralph shared the latest information. When Ralph talked about how Michael is doing now, the news was sad and made people feel a lot of emotions. Ralph said, "I can say that his accident was really bad and a big shock for me, and of course, even more so for his kids. It's clear that the accident didn't just affect Michael's body, but also made the whole family feel very emotional." Since then, everyone has been hoping for Michael's health to improve. Even though not much information is shared, Ralph's updates give us a glimpse into the challenges the family is facing. Ralph talked about Mick, who was a young teenager when the accident happened. Life can be tough, and it was especially hard on Mick. Ralph recognized the difficulties, pointing out how the accident affected Michael's children emotionally. Ralph shared about Michael being not just a brother, but also a coach and mentor. He said, "Michael isn't just my brother. He was also my coach and mentor when we were kids. Even though he's 7 years older, he taught me everything about karting. Michael guided me through our shared experiences in racing. We raced together, practiced overtaking, and all the important stuff in motorsports. He shared 7 years worth of knowledge. Learning from him was an honor," Ralph expressed. Remembering the times when Michael was actively involved, Ralph said, "I miss Michael from back then." He reflected on how the accident affected Michael's life and the challenges that came with it. Ralph acknowledged the progress in medical options for Michael, but stressed that things aren't the same. The family's choice to keep Michael Schumacher's health details private has made it difficult for the media to understand specific aspects of his well-being, like his ability to coordinate movements with his brain. The impact of his situation goes beyond the world of racing. Johnny Herbert, who was Michael's teammate at Benetton in the 1990s, expressed a strong wish to see Michael back. Unfortunately, he acknowledged the slim chances of that happening. Herbert emphasized the significant gap left by Schumacher, particularly in mentoring Mick in racing. Mick has mentioned that he used to discuss racing with his father before the accident, and Michael's guidance was invaluable. Unfortunately, Mick lost that connection after the skiing incident. Herbert highlighted the absence of the father-son racing relationship between Michael and Mick, which could have greatly benefited Mick's career. He said, "That father-son relationship would have been very beneficial for Mick, But unfortunately, Mick never had that. The accident disrupted what could have been an invaluable mentoring relationship for Mick's growth in racing. Jean Todt, who was Michael's former manager, also shared insights into Michael's current condition. Todt mentioned that Michael is not the same person he used to be, and this perspective from someone close to him underscores the noticeable changes in Michael since the accident. The family has really liked keeping their personal space for the past few years. Even though people in the media are curious, everyone has appreciated the family's decision to keep things private. They just want to handle Michael's situation without everyone watching. Even though they've tried lots of things to help Michael get better, there are stories about some interesting ways they've tried to wake up his brain. One way is by taking him for rides in a fancy car, a Mercedes-AMG. Unfortunately, these ideas haven't brought back the old Michael. There are recent reports saying that Michael Schumacher, the 7-time world champion, is getting a special kind of brain stimulation. They're putting him in a Mercedes-AMG GT 4-door, which is a technique used in medicine to help the brain react in a good way, especially for people who've had serious injuries. The goal is to use familiar sounds to make his brain respond positively, hoping it might help him get better. 15 doctors, nurses, and helpers are always with Michael, taking care of him every hour of the day. They are being super careful to make sure he gets the best care possible. His wife, Karina, has made strict rules about who can visit their care home because she wants to keep the environment calm and supportive. Karina talks about adjusting her daily activities to match what Michael likes. This shows she is dedicated to keeping Michael's preferred routine. Despite her efforts, there are reports suggesting that Michael's long-term health might be tough. Let's take a peek into the life of the legend, Michael Schumacher. Even with health issues, Formula One fans will soon get a special look into his incredible life through a new documentary coming out next month. This film promises to reveal how Schumacher became a top figure in motorsports. The documentary is expected to give a different view of his journey and accomplishments, highlighting his impact on Formula One. Everyone is excited about it, but we don't know yet if it will cover details about his skiing accident. The family wants privacy, so it's unclear how much the documentary will share about the aftermath of the accident and Michael's current life. We should respect the family's need for privacy in this very personal situation. Michael Schumacher's absence is strongly felt in Formula One, especially since he played a vital role in Mercedes' success from 2010 to 2013. During that time, his expertise helped Mercedes tackle challenges in the turbo-hybrid era, Hamilton's era, and the gap left in Formula One after Michael Schumacher left. Lewis Hamilton took over from Michael Schumacher and won 6 championships with the Brackley-based team. Johnny Herbert recognized this change and emphasized the impact of Schumacher's absence in Formula One. Herbert pointed out that while Schumacher's absence is noticeable in the racing world, it doesn't compare to the significant gap felt by his family witnessing his daily struggles. Herbert said, "There has been a huge gap since Schumacher's crash. The shock of Schumacher's accident affected the entire racing community due to his long-standing presence and numerous achievements." Herbert reflected on the lasting influence Schumacher had on both current and former drivers, noting that he was highly respected by many, including the current crop of drivers. Schumacher served as a role model for aspiring drivers, inspiring them to pursue their dreams in Formula One. Herbert mentioned that even today's drivers like Max Verstappen find inspiration in Schumacher's on-track presence. Johnny Herbert further explained how Schumacher's legacy continues to impact modern drivers, saying, "Many current drivers still use the experience of watching him on the track to motivate themselves, adopting a mentality reminiscent of Schumacher." Despite the limitations of modern medicine, there is hope for improvement in Michael Schumacher's overall health. However, recent statements from his family paint a challenging picture. The road to recovery is uncertain, and the situation does not appear promising. Now, considering the new update on Michael Schumacher's health, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.